start recording again. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream for Ustream.tv and also recorded for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. This is the Kirby Roseanne's Imagimorphia, and I'm using my professional watercolours. These are my Winsor & Newton professional watercolours. Limited palette, but enjoying playing with them. There will be cadmium red, Elysian crimson, French ultramarine, Ceylon blue, cadmium yellow, and a lemon yellow. And that gives you some really bright yellows, some really bright purples, and some really lovely oranges and browns. And with those colours, there isn't really a colour you can't make. I've done some previous videos on colour mixing, and I'd used some cheaper variations of colours, from cheap printer inks where I did over 600 colours to the student grade, I've forgotten what they call them now, it's completely gone, Cotman student grade, and I've mixed these colours. So again, the same oranges and browns, purples, reds, yellows, back into the blues to the greens. And they're all made from 3 colours. And I quite like the colours, but these are just the Cotman ones. So quite like using these in the colour books as well. But at the moment I'm working with the 6 colours. The 2 blues, the 2 reds and the 2 yellows, and these are quite watered down, but because they are professional watercolours, they are really holding their own, and they are giving me some really nice colours. And I really like these colours. So I'm working with the fox in I could just lift that up very carefully. So we're in the Imagimorphia with Kirby Roseanne's, and I should put little tabs on them. So this is the one I'm working with, which is quite pale, but this is the one I did before. So although that's a paler colour, you don't have to work pale with professional watercolours. You can have some really beautiful colours, and every single red on here, every single red is exactly half cadmium red and half Elysian crimson with water added. So we've gone from this really deep red to this almost sandy pink just by adding water. And I quite like that way of working, and there's also some different muted colours probably in between. This is traditional watercolours but dry, so you don't crinkle your pages. And then I'm working quite flat again in here. So if I wanted to go back and put some low lights in and some shadows, I put the palest colour down first, and then I can go back in and work in if I want to. So without further ado, what I'm having to do is I have my tablespoon of water, and again not wasting any paint, a wet baby wipe, and I'm using 3 of my fave paintbrushes, which I have popped somewhere. No, they've run away. I don't know where they've gone, but they've gone. Did I put them away in my little brush? Had so many things out today. Yes, they're in here. Look. So at the moment I'm working with, especially in the Kirby Roseanne's, because there's got quite a lot of detail and some fine bits. So I'm working with these riggers as a number 3, and these are only cheapy ones. They're from a model railway show, so they're not for proper art, but they are actually quite nice, and they're synthetic and they're cheap. They're not, so that's quite nice, you know, it's a couple of pounds for each one, maybe a £1.50. So there's a 3, a 1 and a 3.0. But any rigger or half rigger, what you need is a long damp brush and an end that you can get the colour to, because that's how this works. So I've got my colours, and my idea, let me just see if that's not very clean. I was making some deep greens to go in here, so I'm going to use the middle-sized brush. I'll slide that across so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm just going to go in. I think I want to be in here, and I wonder if I can. It's not very. Let me just sort the. I was looking for the thing that I used for. I don't know. Sorry about the glare. Just I can try and focus onto there. That's what I'm trying to focus on, and then that's the best probably I can get to. Hopefully that's okay. And I'll just put that there. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. So I've zoomed right into here because I want to get some of these leaves kind of in there. So I've reconstituted the greens because I can't throw it away. So I'm dunking into there and then onto here. So that is a damp brush. And then I'm kind of just mixing that in a little bit to reconstitute it because it's under 6 light, so it does dry. And then I've got my little piece of photocopy paper just to have a test, just to see if I'm going to be completely kind of way out or I'm going to be okay. Now these white things, I think they're clouds, so I leave those because I never know what to do with them. But under here, I kind of like the French ultramarine when you add it to a green. And I quite like that idea, so if I just put that on there. And that's a greeny green, but this is a bluey green, so I'm going to just a little bit more on there, and that's going to give me a really dark green, bluey green. So I think that's going to be quite nice in there. So I'm just going to stroke. I'm actually going to go with the finest brush because that is quite a fine space. And again, once you've photocopied one of these and worked on it. Oh, bye Emma, thanks for stopping in, darling. This is a live stream with live people and I haven't broken chat. Yay! I break chat every week. So thanks everybody for stopping in. It's wonderful. As I say, this is going to be just filling in some detail at the back of this Kirby Roseanne's. But once you've photocopied it and had a play, you get used to the water, you get used to how dry to work, you get used to going into corners and things, and you also get used to what things are and how colours work together. And again, that's because you've had a practice. And like all the old masters, they all used to do a watercolour first before they did, or a pastel, before they did their major work. Because you're not going to spend 6 months on a major work to find out, oh gosh, that person's in the middle and she should be at the other side. Or, oh, that leaf's too big. Or, so if you do this, you iron out all the problems. And when you come to do this, it's more of a joy because you've already done half of it. And I found that out by accident when I did the Colin Thompson. When I did this one, it took me 2 days, but I did it with my little book of watercolours, Derwent watercolour pencils, and that's what gave me the beautiful watercolour effects. So that's working slightly differently than I'm working today. So to get all those lovely highlights and lowlights and really lovely watercolour effects. So there's 4 videos on that, and that's working very, very, very dry, almost dry enough to watercolour on a napkin. But it took me 2 days, so I didn't take the book with me. I took my little book of watercolours and I took the photocopy, folded up rather, rather roughly, and I played with colour and did just any colour I fancied. Didn't even think about it. And I made some mistakes, and I made some things that I liked that I would not have done before. And that's the freedom of a photocopy. You get used to working so you can touch it and it's dry, but you're just working with colour. So you can use this. And you can also then iron out your colours. I mean, I quite like that green there that's popping out a little bit. Now, I haven't zoomed in quite a lot. If you want me to zoom in any more, I'll drop that down slightly and see what that does. Is that any better? But I always like to know what somebody's doing off camera when they're playing with the watercolours. Again, this is very weak, very wet, but sorry, very wet. It's quite dry, but it is wetter than the other way of working. So again, if I stroke over that now again, that's going to really darken under there. So that stem that was dark has now popped up. And that's the trick. That's the trick. But doing a water, I can't stress enough. I know you think it's a waste of 2 days doing a practice, but that practice has set me up for every single page in the Colin Thompson Fantastique. And this one, I actually used the first page as a practice. But obviously I can now do this quite well, although I do make mistakes. And I think that could be possibly oops, I caught that. I literally have about 2 or 3 inches between the camera and the, so I'm sorry, I've just bumped the thing if it's the thingy. But I literally have to just stroke colour into there. I think I might get rid of that. Don't know what it is. Artistic license, it's gone. And I want that leaf to pop up a little bit and give that a bit of definition. So I hope this isn't as boring as watching paint dry, because we're watching paint dry. And I'm terrible with the backgrounds, so I'm going to go back in with that larger brush. And again, it could have dried, but by twisting it, I've got some colour in there. So again, I'm just going to go into there and just make those leaves kind of pop out a little bit. And it's probably a better idea to make a bigger amount of this colour than I have, because this is going to unify all those dark areas. And then you find where the bunnies kind of pop out and you realise that there are things going on that you hadn't realised. So I'm going into here at the moment. And again, when I've finished this, I think this pale leaf will really pop out. And there's a lot of colour in this brush as well, because it's a rigger. It's got a fair amount of colour. Now, I didn't really mix enough of that, but it will do for just now for down here. So this is a live stream for ustream.tv and also recorded for YouTube to watch at leisure. Not sure what I'm going to do in there. I'm going to leave that because I'm not sure what I want to do. I'm going to work my way across a little bit. And I'm in the Kirby Rosanne's Imagimorphia. Am I? She looked across and it's not there. She looked across and she is in Imagimorphia. Because I have to look at the other book to find out which one I'm not in. Oh, thank you, King Gar. So I say, welcome to Bunny's Designs. It's a live stream with live chat, and I haven't broken it. Yay! Shouldn't say that because it will break in a minute. So I'm going to go maybe in here and pick out this dark. So, oh, do excuse me, I haven't eaten since this morning. I had a banana. So my tummy's, and my husband brought me a vanilla slice, and I know it's in the fridge. Oh, it's driving me insane. It's in the fridge, and it's saying, "Eat me." It's my fave, is vanilla slice. I have to say, bit of a custard girl. So again, it's not far out, but it's not perfect, but it would do because it's away from the other side, so you can get away with that colour. I might do those, I don't know if I want to do those dark greens or greens. No, I've started them there, look, so I have to carry on, and it's not a bad colour. It's not a bad colour. It's a bluey. Probably a bluey. That's more bluey actually. Look, it is wrong. So if I just take some of this green here and just reconstitute some of this green into here, what that's done, and twist all the colour out because I can't wipe it off. I want it, but I don't want it yet. I can go under there, and that's still not perfect, is it? So sometimes you've got to play about a bit. And again, but this is the lovely thing about watercolours. You can't do this with a pencil or a, well, I can't do it with a pencil because I can't. Again, that's not the same green, but I quite like that. So I'm just going to go stroke that into there. And then I actually can go to a darker one behind there if I want to. It's not far out. But if it's just that little bit of difference, it makes the leaves and the stems just pop out a little bit. And again, bearing in mind, you've got to cover every scrap of page on here. You can't miss anything out, because if you miss anything out, it changes the colour. So if I just bring a little bit of green into that blue there, I can make this leaf sit nicely next to it, and it's 50% of that colour. And I say we're going to go into colour, a whole colour series, I think. And that's not touching that one, so I can actually make that a different one. And again, quite like that idea. Not quite sure what that white thing is behind there, so because I'm not sure, I'm going to leave it. Can always go back in later. So again, that section's getting kind of filled up. That's going to be a red flower. So do I have any of that pink left? Don't think so. Let me just have a look. Because it doesn't have to be bright. It can be pale because it's behind. And don't forget, there's that thing about pale behind and bright in front, to bring things into the foreground. Now, I'm not really sure about that. I prefer, I don't know what that is. I think that's another flower. But it's coloured now, so I can go back in there and play later. So, as I say, well, oops, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Having a bit of play with the greens, a bit of a murky palette, but because I'm using the colours, and I love the fact that I'm not wasting any because I'm a tight Yorkshire lass, love the fact that all these are kind of staying together as a group, and that's kind of given it all kind of a bit of coherence. And this is a little bit wet as the brush goes for me, but again, touched it, it's not that wet. Again, the watercolour photocopy paper is the perfect, because it's quite thin, is for cheap photocopy paper. The cheaper the better. What it does, it teaches you how to control the water on your paper with your rigger. And once you've done one page, that's all you need to do, you'll be able to watercolour on a napkin. Almost near as damn it. This is a little tiny bit wetter, but not much. Excuse me. My daughter came home with freshers flu, which is quite nice of her, wasn't it? So I'm using this bigger brush, this number 3, or is this the number? This is the number 1, because there's some tiny areas, and again, I don't know what that is, so because I don't want to kind of mess it up, I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to go somewhere else. And again, I can't remember now if that's that colour, so if I just touch here, if I did behind, that wouldn't move. So I'm going to just come back to my palette here, and again, just by reactivating a little bit of that different green, it's still connected to this one, but what that does, hopefully, and we'll test it first, is it's made it a different green, but I don't want it there, so I'm going to put that one. I'm going to put that one here, I think. And I think that one's behind there. But it's not the deepy blue colour, so I think I might just put that one there. And these are really subtle shades. Probably in the pencil section you'd go one shade up or one shade down. And then the bluey is the really bluey green. And then another test, and if you really want to match it, you can see if you can match that. But I don't need to do that much detail. But I'm going to just go in with a little bit of French ultramarine again up here, because I'm quite enjoying making these greens as deep as I can get them without it being a blue. So it's still a green, but it's a blue green. And I think that's quite nice. I'm going to go in there with that one. And it's slightly darker than this one, only slightly. But you know now that that leaf is behind the other one, and that's what we want. We want everything to be behind that's supposed to be behind. Now, I haven't done the end of that one, of this one, and it's the wrong green, but I have that green here. So if I just touch the edge of there and touch that green, it's not perfect, but behind it's a hoof, so it's going to be in shadow anyway, so I can get away with that. And then that's connected now again. Hope everybody can see that. And have I broken chat? Oh my goodness, I hope not. Can everybody see that? Is everybody okay with that? Ooh, somebody's making coffee. Oh, thanks, Judy. Thank you. It's different. Again, purely by accident, it's different. So now I just need to go and make sure that I'm back onto this darker colour here. And this is, you know, I picked off the easiest first because I love this book and I don't want to rush it and I don't want to make a mess of it. I want to make a good job of it because, as I say, Tight Yorkshire Lass, a £10 drawing colouring book. But I love the fact that by doing that, this leaf is now going to really pop out. Not sure about the creature, and I think that's a rock, and I haven't decided whether to do grey rocks or fawn sandy rocks. So I'll have to think about that one. But again, I've just reconstituted a bit more into there, and then I can test it. So I'm still dark. And so I'm going to go across to here. So I'm going to put this one in. And again, this is a little bit darker, but it's not the really deepy blue green, because I kind of like that undergrowth colour. That French ultramarine, really, you need a proper green first, and then you put the French ultramarine in it. And that just gives that a really nice effect, I think. So I'm going to pick these out first, and then I'm going to go back with the undergrowth. So these actually aren't quite the undergrowth. I hope that wasn't the duck's bottom. That looks like a duck's tail. No, it can't be. You never know in one of these pictures what's a duck's tail and what's a leaf. I'm hoping that's a leaf. I maybe have to do a little bit of artistic license here and colour that in. But that to me looks like a fan-tailed dove. But hey-ho. But the bottom goes there. So hopefully we're right. But again, it's a bit of a strange phenomenon with these books. Oh, good. Hopefully I haven't broken chat. So I'm quite zoomed in, but really enjoying now bringing these little spaces to life. There's another flower there that I've missed. So if I'm going to go back into this deeper green. Now I do have a lot of colour on here. This is all colour now. This particular page is working out to be different to the watercolour effects. So, but I'm still enjoying it, and it's easier. You're just stroking the colour in, and just working out what's where, and when you miss things you can pick things out, and so when you go back next time that's going to be a lot easier. So you've got the stems and you've got something behind there, and again this is what I call sorting the wood out from the trees. That looks like that's another leaf. I'll have to have a think of that. I can't work what that is there. But back up to here. Again, if we go behind this one, these leaves will now pop forward, and that beautiful, very pale green is going to sit quite nicely next to this kind of undergrowthy bluey green. It's very easy to get into the colouring zone because it's just so nice. All the pressure is on this bendy brush. So although I have extremely bad arthritis and can't hold a pencil for more than 2 minutes, I can do this all day. They are little tiny movements. There's no big swishing around doing lots of colour. There's just a little bit of colour mixing. And it's brought me back into being a bit more of a colourist, I think. Now, I would say that is another leaf that I've missed. So if we just do this. No, I think that's the leaf as well. So that's got to be that pale green leaf there. So I'm going to go back in there with a different brush. So thanks for stopping in, everybody, and bobbing in, having a look. Yes, I'm still quite enjoying this. So I really want that colour back now, so it's not far away. Maybe I would get away with that with a drop of water. I probably will just about get away with that one, maybe. Because it is behind there. So if I can put that into there. Again, it's so difficult to find what things are doing. That one goes around there. I think that's it. I think it's just that one that I missed. No, this one we found. I think I found that this actually wasn't the antler. This was the leaf, and maybe that's the leaf as well. And I think maybe that might be it. Might have got it there. Oh, bye, Suzanne. Welcome. Thank you for stopping in. Yes, bob in and out. That's wonderful. I'm just carrying on with this, probably for about another 50 minutes or so. I just want to get a little bit more done at the background, and then I will have to be called out for something, because I have streamed for a long day today. But I really wanted to get some of this background in, because it's there comes a point where you need the background in to find the other things. And then all these little creatures and all the leaves and all the flowers, they all pop out, and you can see a little bit more of your picture, which is quite nice. And again, once you lift it out, that looks quite good. So probably about 3 or 4. And I don't go back into it normally. Sometimes I do. If I see something and I forget, or if I really don't like it, I can go back in it with a bit of a deeper colour. Like this one. Now this one's looking more into there, so I'm going to just give that little bit of green, and it's going to pop forwards. So the other undergrowth has now gone back under again. So again, that's just made that little bit of difference. I am conscious of the fact that this is like watching paint dry. And once you've seen it once, it's kind of, oh my. But I must admit, I just like doing it, I have to say. I just like playing about. And again, you see all sorts of different things. I think that's the back of, I think that's that leaf, so I've got that one in there. There's dragonfly there. If I move forward a bit, that looks like it's the same kind of colour. So I'm trying to pick this greenery. This is how I do it, because I find it a little bit easier. Is I pick a certain shrub shape and then imagine that that's going to be the colour it's going to be. And then once I've picked all those off, I can then go pick a different colour, a different leaf, and shade that in. And that's how I've worked with these pages, because I love the pages, but you know, they do kind of morph into each other, which of course is the whole idea. But for colouring in, sometimes, as I say, you think a tale of something is belonging to somebody else. So again, that's got a little bit light now, so I want to put a little bit of colour into that. By just touching the French ultramarine, that's what's happening. And if I just touch that there, that's really deep now, so I can go back under here and then really make, although that was a rock, I've just realised I think that's a rock. That was a mistake, but never mind. I can go into here and I can make this the purpley blue undergrowth, which I quite like. And because I'm going over green, it's not going too blue either. I did want that one there, I like that. And again, that will make those bulrushes just pop out that little bit more, I hope. And then that leaf on that paler leaf, that's going to pop out as well. So this is just kind of picking things off and working through it. I quite like the rocks there, and again the rocks now have changed slightly, so I can see what's rock and I can see what isn't. So I'm going to give this coat of this bluey green, and if I really hate it I can pop a bit of green over the top, and that would just tone that blue down a little bit. I'm probably just going to change that slightly, so because it's higher up, and I quite like the different variations of greens, because obviously in the jungle there'll be thousands of different greens. So that's made me now know where those mountains are, oh sorry, those stones are. And again, now I've sorted that area out now, so under here I think that's a stone, but this is definitely not a stone under here, but it does want to be a bit darker. And this can be dark now and be shaded in, and then that leads to another rock up there, and then we have this leaf up here, or I should say shrub. I think there's big leaves and then there's tiny shrubs, because of course Kirby Roseanne changes sizes of things as well, just to make things a little bit more interesting for you. I think that could be a rock, because there's a big rock under there. But again, under here, again, that's another darker leaf. And my water's actually kind of getting rather, sorry, I've just knocked the camera. I've got a bit of brown spot on there. I don't know how I did that, but I can get rid of that. So thanks everybody for joining me, and I hope everybody's had a good afternoon. I think because sometimes I'm not very well, I do things a bit boring. both. Thanks for sticking with me. And I am a bit obsessed by colouring in when it's nice and easy, rather than struggling with pens and things. I have hundreds of pens, but they don't seem to see the light of day at the moment. And I don't think it's going to get better, but we never know. We never know. So this is a little bit wetter than normal, but quite like just stroking that colour in there. I think I'll probably change one of those because they're much of a muchness, those two. And I definitely think I might need some more dark underneath here to make this leaf pop out now. But again, I think that's a rock actually. I'm pretty sure that's a rock. And that could be quite dark. So that would be quite nice under there. And again, I really want this, I've missed a leaf there, and that can be dark. I've missed, I think that was a leaf and I've just gone over it. That's something behind. I might just do that one there, so I'm sorry I'm off camera, just stroke that into there. So, as I say, just picking bits off and colouring them in, and that just sorts a little bit more. I think that's cut, and we've got a little creature there now, so we have a little creature. We have to decide, and that looks like a little alien, so we've got an alien there as well. There's two little creatures there. And again, the little areas are kind of sorting themselves out. I've got to decide what colour to do those, so I've got some yellows. I haven't got a ready red, so I'm just going to pop a little drop into there and see about a ready red, and then just have a play, because that might be too red. Yeah, that's too bright, because I've been working quite pale. So in order to make that darker, what I need to do, and that makes me too dark, is add green, because when you add green to red, it dulls it down. Quite like that colour. So I can put that into there. And I like that colour, that's quite nice. So it was made with cadmium red into a green, and it's a different flower, you can tell it's a different colour. So and I think there's one down here, I think, maybe that colour. Don't have a lot of that colour, but there aren't as many flowers. Oops, sorry, I keep looking at the camera. Oh, Suzanne says she's just got the Colin Thompson colouring book. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty. You can't stop looking at it, can you? It's a bit good, have to say. It's a little bit good. So I'm going to try and see if I can find some of those flowers, and I can't find any. So that was a mistake, because now I can't find any of the flowers I want. Oh, possibly I might do these over here, because I do like this red that I've just got now. So I might just do this one. And as I say, tight Yorkshire Lass. It's at the other side, it's not going to make too much difference. As I say, this is a colouring book. It's not, I don't want to get too tight about it, but I'm quite enjoying working in this little book. And again, it's a little bit wetter than normal, but teasing that colour across with the rigger, you're not having any dampness too much on here, and that's what we want, because the pink pages won't crinkle, and it's very pale as that, so there's no reason why I can't go in a minute. Absolutely nothing on there, and I love that. I've just done it and it's dried, and I love that. Now I am under a lamp, but still, you know, and then if you want to go back under there and put a little bit more shadow, you can do that here, because of course these have got the lines on them to show you where the shadow is, so that's quite nice. You can put a little bit of definition. I did quite a lot of this with the bunny one. Depends how much you want to play. Again, there's lots of rocks and foliage in there, so I need to go in there and have a look. There's a pale leaf there that I've missed. There's another butterfly, so I've got a little blue bug there. And if I darken this one now, that should pop out a little bit as well. So we'll just go into here and reconstitute this really, really muddy green colour now. But sometimes the muddy green ones are quite nice. So just have a test. It's not dark enough, and it's probably lost its green now. I think it may have lost its green colour. Just see. But these pigments, because they're professional watercolours, you do tend to have quite a lot of colour. They are very pigmented. It's a little bit dark, but I want to get in there because I want that to pop out, so I'm doing that. And I hope I'm not shouting, because I say my mouth is probably about half an inch away from the camera. And so if you've got any questions, pop them in caps. This is a live stream with live chat. Live for Ustream.tv, and also recorded for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure, i.e. it could be the middle of the night or people are busy. And I must admit, I quite like the fact that you can watch things when you want, although it's lovely to be on the live chat. It's a catch-22, sometimes you can't really do that, but that's quite nice because that's just popped that leaf out now. And by popping the leaf out, we've popped the bug out. The little blue bug is now sitting on a leaf. I've just missed that leaf out there. Oh, bye, Suzanne. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks, everybody, for popping in and out. It's wonderful. Hope it's not too boring. As I say, I'm just playing about with this colour mixing. But once you start getting the background in, it looks a bit more interesting, I think. There is a lot of rocks in this one, I have to say. So, because I've got that green on here, and again, it's wishy-washy. Tight Yorkshire Lass, using every scrap. I've put some French ultramarine in it, and it looks quite, and I keep watering it down, but we keep getting a little bit of colour out there. I was going to do these shrubs here, and that will make other things pop out as well. Just stroking that colour in so there's no stress on your hands, because I can't do that. I'm going to do that one as well in there because it's done. And I can't remember if that's, I think that's a shrub. And if I want to go in and just change that colour slightly, I can put a pale green in there and it will change the colour, but it will still look like it's the same shrub, so that's quite nice. You can do that with watercolour. A bit more difficult with opaque colours because once they're down, but these watercolours, unless you use the colours that lend themselves to be when you're doing an oil painting, like the books, I did a lot of overpainting, so I had about 30 layers in one particular place, and you start with your clear, you can start with either however you want to use it, but when you do the highlights and the lowlights in the washes, you've got to know your colours. So, and that gives depth to a painting. It's very clever. I can't remember how to do it properly, but it's very clever. So that's kind of brought that bit area out now. So I know a little bit more about there. And again, I've got this colour, so I may as well use it up here. Oh, thanks, Suzanne. Oh, Timothy says, mixed my first colour after watching one of your earlier streams. Oh, thanks, Timothy. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you found it interesting. As I say, the colours are, there is a chemistry kind of logic behind it, a chemical logic. But then there's the artistic bit in it as well, and the idea is to kind of get the best of both worlds. And it's nice to play about with colour when it's a cheap printer ink to get the principles of the colours. But then, of course, oils and different pigments, different companies. I mean, everybody can call it a cadmium red, but you can put the cadmium reds next to each other and they will react differently. So it's nice to know the difference. But if you have a general idea of how to get a teal or how to get an olive, it's not going to drive you insane for half an hour. And that's why I did the printer inks, because, you know, we can all chuck £3.50 away. Even I can. Now that's a rock, I think, under there, but that's a leaf. So I'm glad you're all finding this interesting and getting a bit of information out of it. I don't have a lot of knowledge, but I like to pass on what I've got. But again, that little area has now come to life a bit. Oh, thanks, Suzanne. Well, I'm not an expert. I've been doing it a long time, but I've made mistakes. I forget things. But we do try. And again, I've still got some of this wishy-washy colour on this palette, and so I'm quite enjoying getting some of this background out of the way. And then you can definitely see the wood for the trees. And we can see some really nice popping colours, which is what we want. I haven't decided what to do with the rocks yet. I might do them, if I do them a brownie rock, they will match in, I think, fawn colours. I have visions of Captain Kirk on these sandy coloured. I will be having visions of Captain Kirk on Friday. I can't believe I'm going to be in the same room as Mr. Kirk. Oh my, 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 my. I may go to pieces. I'm only a poor Yorkshire lass. Oh dear. I don't mind seeing him, but there's no way he's going to see me in my wheelchair. I'm going to be extremely well hidden. Extremely well hidden. But obviously I have to see him. That's perfect. And of course all the other fab bods as well. But my daughter used to carry on about, the next generation is better. And she doesn't actually say that, but and I said, but you forget, if it wasn't for the original series, you wouldn't have anything. And that's true in all the Bonds. Oh, the Bonds were old-fashioned. Yeah, but if you didn't have Bond in the 1960s, you wouldn't have him now. And so you've got to remember that these guys, these actors, the directors, I think on one of them the dish is a colander. It looks like a colander. I have one from the 50s. It's a colander, but without these special effects, there'd be nothing. So you have to remember all that. Oops. So you're coming close to know what you're doing now. Oh, that's good. Am I missing all this chat? Oh, I'm glad you're learning something. But if I pull that up there gently now. See my really, I mean, I probably will have to wash that out now. But this is the paint I've used. This is my water. So there's hardly any waste. And again, there's a tight Yorkshire lass. That's my thing. So I'm not sure what it's going to look like again. When you pan out, it might not have a lot of let me just see if I can put that back. And my DVD, my fingernails, see if I can get this. Is that focused? Do you think that might be focused? It's completely different, and that is amazing because it's the same watercolours, but I started with these pale yellows and greens, and it's a completely different page. And again, I was panicking a little bit, thinking, oh, I said I was going to do watercolour in here, and I said I was going to do the inks in there. Is it going to be boring having the same page, the same page, exactly the same colours? Because I'm using exactly the same colours. Ah, that's what fell on the floor. I wonder what fell. I'm using the same colours, but I am getting completely different and it's the same way of working, so I quite like that idea that even though you are using the same medium, you can use different tones, different shades and different colours and get totally different effects, and I love that. And again, it's the tight way of working which really suits me. I was say drawn to draw really perfect, rather than have lovely wishy-washy colours. I can't do wishy-washy colours either. But that was the first one. Again, I've used that background colour here, and it's come back to me. So really love working with these watercolours. I think I made a mistake. They were £12, but I could have bought them for £7. But I mean, there's an awful lot of colour. I mean, I haven't even touched really these. So I love that way. And there is something nice about working with professional watercolours. I've always been too tight to work with watercolours, because it's too precious. Everything's too precious with me. And now I've got older and I've got very well, I keep thinking, well, if I don't do it now, I won't on the planet long enough to use these things. So I thought I better use them. But I love working with, and again, they are professional. They are so pigmented that I wouldn't think money-wise you would be. It's like when you buy a tomato puree. You can buy a cheap one and you can buy one twice the price, but the twice the price when you use half as much. And I'm pretty sure this is what this does. Excuse me, I need a drink. These pigments are so fab that you're only using a tiny bit. Excuse me, this fresh as flu. And I've dropped that on the floor, so I just need to pick that up. Oh, excuse me. So I hope you found that interesting. And again, I say, love my little palette. This is a little cloth. It's got hardly anything on it, so definitely not wasted any paper at all. Oh, excuse me. Definitely not wasting any paper. And still like using my little brushes, which, because they're synthetic, all the colour comes out. Oh dear, excuse me. So I hope you found that interesting, and still no idea what to do with the background. I think I'm going to finish the book first, but I'm really pleased that the colours are turning out to be different, because that worried me the first time. I thought, well, that'll be boring. I'm still drinking my cold tea. So I've done I say I haven't done the horse and I haven't done the background. Now, if I do the background, I want to leave the horse white, I think. I think the foxy's going to be russet reds and with a green eye. And the bunnies, the bunny rabbits. But you see, I must admit, I quite like some of this colour, the white behind, and the little butterfly leading them. Sorry, Suze, I must be driving you potty if I'm coughing. Right in front of there. But I'm not shocked, but I'm quite kind of intrigued that the darker colour that I like in here, I've used in the other one, but it's a different colour. And I'm quite pleased that I haven't broken any chat. I haven't broken chat again. So has anybody got any questions? But I can't stress enough how easy this is. I mean, I've been doing this all day. My hand is not hurting at all. And normally, when I was scratching these pencils in here, I had to stop because I couldn't use the pencil anymore. So it is, if you've got arthritis or if you want to paint for a long time, it's a really nice way of working, and very dry and very flat. And if I try not to break chat again, I can hold the colours up. I might not do it because I can't hold my hand still. I really like some of those little areas and the very subtle greens, and a lot paler than I've used before. And I quite like the shading on the little stag there as well. I think that's a little green dragon there. And again, I just like messing about with the colour. I've bent the spine back now, probably I shouldn't have done that, but maybe those bluebells could be that little bit bluer, which I can do later if I want. And mixing the colours for the flowers as well. It does not like tilting, this camera, at all. So that's that side, and then at this side we have I quite like making these colours as well down here. It's because I can't hold my hand up, that's what it is. And I love the little blue bug that I didn't even see. So I've got a little blue bug, and there's a butterfly there to fill in as well. And some toadstools. There's a lot going on in these books. And they're quite nice to caterpillars. So thanks guys for stopping in. I'm going to stop the video there because, as I say, sometimes it gets a bit boring watching somebody paint. And I wanted to do a little bit of this. So I'll stop the video, and then I might do how I do the head, I think, because it's a bigger area, so you have to use the bigger rigger and you have to keep going in a certain way. But once you've done it once, it becomes easier. And you can keep your paper flat as well. So thanks for watching, and